boys. It's a Monday morning, and actually it's quite rare for me to actually be riding mine before I go to work, but sometimes Mondays can be a bit of a quiet day for me. If lots of the horses I ride have been competing over the weekend, then quite often I'll have Monday off, so sometimes it can be a bit of a quiet start to the week. We had an epic thunderstorm, excuse the wind in the background, an epic thunderstorm last night. It was, I'll add a few little clips in because I got up to check the horses, but it was proper crashing and banging and lighting up the skies. But I mean, anyone else love a thunderstorm? Something lovely about being in bed while it's like flashing and crashing outside. Other than the dog that didn't like it, it was all good. No, I love a bit of voiceover, mainly because it's just so windy in the background of all my videos. Anyway, I had one of those days the other day when I was riding, and I just suddenly felt so inspired and so motivated and just really excited for all three horses. That was until I looked at my bank balance and I was like, no, you're not going to be competing all three of those, that's for sure. But with Arty, if he can stand up to getting a lot fitter and the workload and can stay sound, then I would love to do one of the Cotswold Cup one-day events on him. I've never evented him. He's done a little bit of jumping and that was it. He's done barely anything. I think he's probably done about 5 outings in total in his lifetime, and he's only 11. But I would absolutely love, if I can get him fit enough and get the weight off and he stays sound, I would love to do that with him. Corporal, there's a showing series that you can qualify to go to, obviously originally Olympia, but now it's at Excel, that I would really enjoy doing with him, because I think he'd really like rise to the occasion of being at, you qualify at like the county shows like Bath and West and Royal Windsor. I think I've missed this year. I think I need to be a bit more on it next year, because obviously you have to enter these things so far in advance, and also showing is not cheap. I didn't realise how expensive showing was. So I'd love to do that with him next year. But I'm going to watch how his coat goes this year. He seems to be better off of the joint supplement. It really does seem to be making a difference, but I can't do everything. So that has to go on the back burner, but I'm going to keep that in mind for next year. And then with Sienna, obviously, if I could get to a young horse class, that would be amazing. I don't think she will, but if she did, wonderful. Otherwise, it's just going to be starting to take her out to little dressage competitions at some point. But it all gave me that real excited buzz. It just, it's so good. Evening, we've just come back from our first solo ride. I say solo in that we didn't have any other horses with us. We did have another human with us. So my mum kindly came out with me on foot, and I rode Sienna, and she was a really good girl. I really wasn't sure what she'd think about going out the yard on her own. I thought, well, was she a bit sticky because she hasn't got one of the boys with her? But she's not bothered about leaving them whatsoever. And she was great. She was really good. Mum was the perfect sort of support for her, because she definitely wouldn't have wanted to have gone on her own. But Mum was like, she was happy if Mum was in front or behind. It was nice for me as well, just knowing I had somebody else there with me. We went for about 20 minutes and, went past all the roadworks like we have to. And she's very bold about the roadworks. In fact, she's brilliant, like all the signs and the cones, she's so good about. The only thing she doesn't love is if bigger vehicles come past her a bit fast from behind. So she spooked at a Sainsbury's delivery van that kind of came speeding behind her. But other than that, really, really good. Before I take you out to show you Arts, I thought I'd do a little update on his Fat to Fit challenge. So I've been recording on the board. So the first number was what he was about 2 weeks ago when I measured him with the weight tape. And then this is him today, and he's been out in the field all day. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. I haven't actually brushed him yet, so excuse the mess and the messy yard. But, I mean, he's currently itching. He is full on sweet itch mode now. He's got a long way to go, bless him. But I do think he doesn't look quite as bad. I think he does look like he's lost a bit of weight. And like I keep saying, he's only just coming off the field. Literally, I've just brought him in. So, that's a day's grass in that stomach as well. So I think he looks better. He's, like I say, he's got a lot more weight to come off. But I'm thinking there's improvement. So I'm going to stick with the weight loss management. He's not had a great week from being fed that bit less. I have to say, he's pretty grouchy, and he does his like pathetic whinny at me of like, I'm starving, feed me. He's not starving. And even sometimes he even leaves a bit of haylage at night. He really wants more grass. I feel for him. I really do feel for him. I feel so guilty, but it's for the good of his health. And if we're going to do anything exciting in the future, if he can withstand the work, then he needs to be a lot lighter on his feet. So we're going to keep working at it, Arts, aren't we? He's busy just itching, isn't he? Bless him. But yeah, I mean, he is still pretty big, but we'll get there. So moving on to a really handy exercise for horses that tend to be on their forehand. Arty is the perfect candidate, as you can see here, because his bottom is higher than his withers. So he really struggles to carry himself and all his weight is on the front end. He leans, he's very strong in the contact because he finds it impossible to sit on his hindquarters, understandably so. His bottom is higher up. But I find this exercise really handy with him, and it would be probably great for any horse, let alone a horse that's on the forehand. So Arty is at the bottom of his training at the moment, so he's not the best, but he tries really hard. And what this exercise is it's a 20-meter circle. You could make it bigger if you wanted, and I have poles set out kind of in every quarter, and you can mix it up. I have jump on one of them. It's not a jump currently, it's just poles, but a jump on one of them, 4 canter poles on one part, 3 trot poles on another part, 2 trot poles on another part. You can mix it up. You can have as many poles as you want, but what I find is the poles really help keep Arty steady. So when he's going round, he gets really strong and he tends to lean and pull and run because he doesn't want to take the weight behind. And when this happens, I find the poles just back him off. It's like another aid to kind of slowing him down for me. Transitions will always be your best friend for a horse that's on the forehand. That kind of constantly bringing them back to walk, getting them to take a little weight behind, stopping them from rushing and leaning. Honestly, transitions all day long with him. And on this exercise, you can see I do a transition to walk in between each set of poles. So it's stopping him from ever getting too quick in the rhythm. And it just keeps reminding him to take a little bit of weight behind. Now, I can't miraculously change Arty into a Valegro because of his conformation, but I can try and help him to get stronger over his back and hindquarters, and also help him to try and carry himself a little better. He's never going to have a high head carriage, but I'm just looking for some lift. So every time I go over the poles, I then do another transition to walk and then back into trot again for the next poles. And the poles also help really elevate him, so get him stepping up into the trot and just again trying to carry himself that little bit more. I find it such a good exercise with him. Pretty hard in canter, and I'll show you that in a minute. Another exercise that's important with horses that are on the forehand is lateral work. Now, you can leg yield on this circle and it works an absolute treat. So you can leg yield in or away from the poles, and you can kind of mix it up. So I quite like to leg yield in and miss one set of poles and then leg yield back out and do the next set. And honestly, I find this really helps lift him up in front with the shoulders as much as Arty can give anyway. If your horse does start to get strong, and Arty does this, as the session gets going, he gets stronger and heavier. Adding in a little rein back can be really handy. Again, just helps him to sit a little more behind, gets him up in front. So this is where it gets tricky when you add the canter into it. So you can see here, I've got 4 canter poles that I'm cantering over now. Then I come back to trot to do the 3 trot poles over there that I'm going over now. And then I pick up canter again and I go over a single pole between some jump wings. You can't see it's out of shot. Then I do another 2 trot poles and then back into canter. The quickness of these transitions, especially with Arty, who is so heavy in front, I found this difficult because when he comes out of canter and back to trot, he tends to run into the trot and then he has all this weight and energy coming through from behind. So he doesn't always listen to my half halt, mainly because he's finding it very tricky. So the trot poles are a great way to help slow him up without me having to fight for him to steady all the time. I kind of use the poles as like speed bumps and slow him down. You can see here, you know, he's quite argumentative because he just finds it so difficult. So this is a tricky exercise to do in canter, but a real beneficial one. And bless him, his canter transitions got better and better, and he was really sweet because he tried so hard. And because you're breaking it up with constant transitions, they never get too strong or too fast, which is really important for me. And the rhythm becomes more balanced. So it is hard. It's really, really hard. And, you know, as they get stronger, you could add in a little jump as well to make it even tougher. But this exercise definitely pushed Arts to his limit, I felt. But he you can see, you know, he tries his hardest. He just finds it hard to get his head up. Very excited to try this. So I'm just go onto their Facebook page because there was a link on there, and I think got 20% off as well. So check it out, because I don't know how long it will last, but really excited about the human calm, because when I do get back to going to some shows, I am the sort that gets quite nervous because I'm a competitive old beanie. But loving the calming cookie and calming powder, something that I think either Arty or Sienna will definitely possibly need if they go to a show anytime soon. So yeah, exciting.